Today I have another Boombox. Haven't done one for a little while, there's still a few I've got to finish off. But I previously did a video on a Silver SR30, and when I was looking at the circuit board in that, I found out that was the one with one, like a dual tape deck, but with one side blocked off. And I noticed on the circuit board it mentioned an SR50, which I found online some pictures of, which was just the same unit basically, but with a second tape deck fitted. And I couldn't find any information on another one that was listed there, which was an SR70. And there was also mention of an LED level meter on the board somewhere, I think. And then I was looking for something else on eBay, and I came across good old SR70. Another one made in Japan. And it's auto reverse. So I've got no idea if this is a Tanishan mech or something completely different. But it's in quite good condition, though I have just noticed that the battery cover looks a lot like there's been some leakage, possibly some fairly bad leakage here, so they didn't mention anything about that. It's terrible condition. So of course there wasn't really many details given, so that's completely fried by the look of it. Battery terminals are completely gone. I mean, this was sold as working basically, but I have my doubts whether it's going to work. They didn't package it very well, but thankfully it made it in one piece. Only had a bit of padded bag or something over the front of this, and actually some proper bubble wrap around the speakers, but all jammed into a cardboard box with virtually nothing around them. It does have some marks on that speaker, but it's not in too bad condition. I paid a little bit more than I really wanted to, but I had to have one. Now that I've got the other one, and I know there's 3 in the set, I had to have it. At least I've got some pictures of it, but I thought, no, I just might as well buy the whole thing if no one else bids too high on it, which they didn't. A little bit of paint missing there. Let's hope that it hasn't corroded too much inside it. But it looks to have basically the same speakers. I don't think it's quite as long as the other one. I did put it next to it. It was like, you know, 5 to 10 mil shorter for some reason. So it's not exactly the same box, but I'd say the speakers are identical. But they've made this bit a little bit different. Front panel's quite different. Things here have been moved around a bit, although it's pretty much the same knobs and probably knobs on those switches. But yeah, auto reverse, I've got no idea. It's got a weird eject button there. It's got a car type auto reverse head, one that doesn't move, doesn't rotate, so it's like a 4-track head, 2 stereo heads in one. Because these were quite a bit earlier, these ones, than that. They weren't the TN21 series Tanishan mechs that came out in about 86. These are a bit earlier. So the Tanishan mechs that were in the other one are those early type with a rubber idler tyre. So I'm not sure. There were some Toshibas out with auto reverse, basic sort of boom boxes, but I can't remember if the head was the same as that or a rotary one. I'm pretty sure I did own one at one stage, but I think they were a bit later than this, but I could be wrong, so maybe it's one of those type of mechs, whatever they had. But it'd be interesting to see if Tanishan have anything to do with this mech, because there weren't a lot of auto reverses around earlier like that, I don't think, other than actual car cassette ones. But in boomboxes, quite a rare feature, I think. I mean, Walkmans, you know, I don't know, when did Walkmans really take off? They were a bit later than that, I think, so certainly some auto reverse Walkmans. I think they took off a bit later than when these, if these are more around the sort of 83, 84 era or something like that, I think. But we'll take a look inside. There's always something they haven't told you about. Nothing you buy on eBay is sold by an honest seller, pretty much. There's always some problem with things. You know, half the things you get don't even work properly. And like this one, they've got all this damage to the battery compartment, which counts as a fault. Regardless, I doubt you can't use this on batteries. There's another screw down in there. So pretty dodgy, but you know, you buy these things secondhand, even if they say they work, they're probably going to need new belts and various other things, scratchy volume pots and all that sort of thing. Okay, well, I got this apart. Turns out you've got to actually slide the door cover off on this one, because the door won't come off with that on there. I've had a quick look at it, and yeah, the belts are shot in this thing. The motor just makes a whirring sound, and the little LED level meter doesn't even come on, which has just dropped off here. So yeah, this board doesn't do anything, and I just had a quick look. No voltage there. it's got, I think they're actually labelled on here, input B, and you can see ND ground, which is this big pad, but I think it's only like 0.8 volts on the voltage coming in. Radio seems to work fine, but yeah, no VU meter, well, it's got no voltage on it. And the tape deck, even hit stop and it does it. And there was some, I did get more black stuff on my hands, so I'd say a bit of rotten belt fell out of here somewhere. So there's the radio, I think. Volume's a bit dicky, no surprise. So yeah, this was sold as a working unit, of course, typical eBay junk. But I have contacted the seller about it to see if they'll give me a refund on it. Or maybe we'll be able to negotiate a partial refund or something. Because I certainly wouldn't have paid what I paid for it. I mean, they started at quite a high price with nothing listed as far as rotten battery or faults. So it wasn't listed as a parts only unit. I mean, no one would pay that much. If it was, I wouldn't think. I mean, someone only bid a couple of dollars up above the listing price anyway, but yeah, I think the list, if it was listed as a parts only unit, you can guarantee it wouldn't have sold for what it went for. I doubt the other person would have even bid on it. I certainly wouldn't have bid on it at that price, even though I would have liked to have got it, because I really want to see what sort of deck this thing has in it. And there's some weird bit of circuit board there, but you know, I shouldn't really be messing with it, but I'm going to pull it to bits and have a look anyway, because I have to know if I have to send it back or whatever. Well, that's the way it goes. It's not like it's got a manufacturer's warranty on it or anything. And you know, if I'm going to maybe make an offer or something to pay less for it, I want to know that it is actually repairable, because if this thing's a complete mess, it's all corroded or something, then it's no good to anyone. So what have they done here? They put a metal thing up to the record switch, so I guess we're going to have to take the mech out before the board will come out. But yeah, I think this case here is obviously different to the other ones. What do we got going on here? Oh, so there's a hole there. Maybe we should just bend that tab. I think that's got to go. Makes sense. But yeah, I suspect there's some gooey belts here somewhere, because it all got on the bottom of the machine and on the carpet and stuff here on the bench. And made a right mess. Yeah, rather interesting look at mech. This is quite a large mechanism. I guess, you know, the reason the motor's running every time I do anything is probably because it's trying to use gears to load everything up or something. I'd say this is going to be like a semi-soft touch, one of those sort of half-loading ones. Doesn't have full soft touch logic control type buttons, but the mech does a lot of the work of lifting it into play position and stuff, rather than the buttons directly doing it. Like on a basic mech. Well, there's that screw that went missing. Now I've got to get this so that either the board rises up with it. Oh, of course I've got the speakers plugged in. I'm wondering why the board won't come up. I think we're going to have to move both together. And no doubt I'm going to end up with something black on my hands at some point during this process. Yeah, that's it, I think. I can see a bit of corrosion on the bottom, but it's not as bad as I feared it might have been. Where's that screw? Oh, it's right up there, up on top of the batteries. That'll be right. And so I assume this is the same board. It's got SR50 written on it, which we saw. I don't think it, oh yeah, there is something about SR30 there. SR50 Cassette. That's our LED level thing, I think. I thought something else. Oh, record LED. Power bat LED. Right channel in. Left channel in. Continuous play. Is that just for the other deck, or is that because this can have auxiliary inputs? That's something I don't think I noticed last time. At least the board hasn't been corroded, so that's one of my worries. But I thought it had the SR70 listed. I think one of the speaker sockets was a bit dodgy, but yeah, they're pretty poor condition. Like I think the other one might have been like that, rather tarnished and possibly corroded, but that's just from age, I think. This unit does look like it probably hasn't been used in a long time, or didn't get a lot of use or something. It certainly hasn't been a kid's sort of knock around boombox. Let's get rid of that. Let's just get this whole thing out of the way. Then I don't have to deal with all that. Oops, there goes the camera. Now what's the better? Oh yeah, so we've got a flat belt in here. Some still on the pulley, some still on the capstans. And wow, what a mechanism. But who made it, I wonder? Oh yeah, one of these standoff things came out. And when that fell out, a couple of bits of cable tie came with it, but they just seem to be sitting in there, and when you screw the case together they just hold in there, I guess. Still got a counterbelt intact. But yeah, this is quite a mechanism. This is a very early sort of, as you can see from the thickness of it. But to be fair, it's in reasonable condition. What have you got here? A TC4011. Was that a switch or a gate? I can't remember what that chip had in it. But it looks like, well, how did the capstan belt, must have gone in over the top of this one and down around the other one, I'm guessing, because it came through this hole here. Must have gone over the top of that. Oh yeah, we can turn that up and see some of the, oh wait, how come this belt stuck to it then? Or was that where it went down? Oh yeah, if it went, I don't think that would work, would it? It's the only way it could have been. It must come out around that. I guess if it came across the top here somewhere like so and stuck to it before it went down and would have gone around the other one, yeah, that could quite possibly be the case. Ugh, I touched it. Ugh. Black goo. That is really bad, that belt, so that's going to all need cleaning out. Who knows what the motor's like. I mean, to be fair, this is in very clean condition. This has just been sitting somewhere for years probably without being touched. Certainly had some use. There is stuff on the capstans. Pinch rollers look to be good other than just being dirty. And I guess the next thing to do might be just to pop this cover off. What on earth's going on there? Bit of bent metal, I don't know what that's about. That's a bit rough. What is it? Just, it's not even the motor housing. I don't know what someone's put on there. Quite a rough looking piece of metal though. Maybe they had to bend the piece out of the way to get it to fit in this case or something. Because who knows who made the mech. Or when. But so this one's got one of these aluminium cover things on the front that's more like a, and it may well be from some sort of hi-fi component deck or something. Impossible to know. Nothing about this deck really says anything about who made it. I was hoping there'd be something to say it's a Tennyson, but whether they made auto reverse decks back then, it's got flathead screws on the head, so that I don't think is a very Tennyson thing to do. Yeah, nothing at all to indicate anything really. Tiny little erase head. Oh, I guess it's got another head on the other side, or is that a second erase head? It wouldn't be a second one, would it? No. So I'm guessing it only records in one direction. Because yeah, the record's got, it's actually, the play button here has got an arrow indicator, even though this is reversible. Normally I got the double arrow on the actual play button there, but yeah, if it's not a rotatable head, well, it wouldn't matter, would it? Because there's a switch on the head normally. How's the head switched? Is that this switch here? Must be this switch here. That slide bar must operate and go along and move that switch. That switches the head itself. But they all go in right next to it, so most likely... Ooh. Careful. SR70 Mecha Control PCB. Obviously that's generally a part of this thing rather than the mechanism itself. Is there anything on that? I wonder if I should just unscrew that board to see if there's anything written there. I don't think there is by the look of it. Anything to say something would be good. Not a single thing printed on this deck anywhere though, I don't think. Maybe the silver manual for this would tell you something, but there's no guarantees. Maybe it could be compared to other decks of that era. Where's the screw? They're always under the wires. I think it's under there. Yep. Well, they really hit that one well. But I guess these tie things are also a good way to find where the screw is, because every one of them usually has a screw at the end of it. And there's two of them here that have both got the same screw on at the end of them. Don't tell me there's another one. There is a corroded looking one there, so it shows that corrosion has definitely been near the bottom of the unit and probably put up a few fumes or moisture or something. That switch of course is on a thing, and I don't think there's anything on that bracket about anything. No, but there are little plastic mounts that slide around annoyingly. Of course all that's going to have to come to bits eventually anyway, assuming I end up with this thing. It's almost tempting to fix the bloody thing right now, but I probably should wait to hear back from eBay first. Oh, we've got an idler down in there, and another one on the, so there's one on each deck bowl. Look at that, that's pretty annoying, because if they go, then there's all sorts of hell to pay. Oh, look at the corrosion on that bit, wow. Oh, there has been some battery acid damage. Oh, of course it can leak out of over here, I guess, because I can see the rust on the bottom. That explains where that came from. It dripped down onto this bracket on the end here and then onto the bottom. Surprised the battery managed to drop there, but where does the deck sit exactly? Right. Oh yeah, no, that's right under, oh yeah, that's right under the end of the battery, so yeah, that does make sense. I know a solid mounting post fell out as well. I thought they were just plastic ones. Oh, they're brass. Yeah, must have looked dark under there like plastic, but they're actually brass. And there's another one there. That is actually dark. Maybe that was the one I was looking at more than the others. But if I undo that switch, oh, what the hell, this has been bent on. That's a bit different. So this mech isn't screwed together, it's actually just got bent metal bits. That's a bit different. I don't think this is a tension somehow. I assume it would be something fairly cheap if they put it in a boombox though. It wouldn't have been your top-notch thing. I don't think I've ever seen that before in one. Maybe I have a long time ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stamped into them. I don't know why they always do that, but well, not always do it, but sometimes do that. There is some gooey belt. They're going to have to come out, I think. What's on the other end of the capstans? Ah, there's a gear on one. Holy. Can't think of it. I thought there was a gear on both, but no, there's no reason for one to be on the other one. Now, can I pull this up? Just don't put your fingers around the outside of it, because you're going to get a heap of goo on you. Does that just come out, or is there more to it than that? Oh, I touched it. I had to touch it. Have it. It's the actual... I think... Oh no, there is a washer there, but yeah, that's why. It's the clearest washer you've ever seen. I could have sworn there wasn't one because I thought, well, I can't see anything black there, but it's clear. And it's caught on all the... yeah, that's almost impossible to see when it's up against the brass. It's caught on the oxide off the tape. And I shouldn't be doing any more, but I'm going to have a quick look. Maybe I'll send it back working for a refund. It's not going to be that hard to fix by the look of it. Probably look worse than it was, but still, if someone sells something that's going, then it should be going. Not some trashy piece of junk that's not going. But, you know, these people, I think they just hope you won't say anything or something. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. But there wasn't much of a description with it, but there was nothing to say it was faulty, which is dodgy, let's face it. Pretty sure half these people take a chance and hope you won't notice or something. I don't know how you're not going to notice it doesn't work. Oh, I've got to get that washer, haven't I? How are you going to notice that it doesn't work? Or not notice that it doesn't work? Or maybe they think people just go, oh, well, I'll just put up with it. Which no one should do. Because it just encourages them to do dodgies like that. But yeah, I mean, the amount of people on eBay that call things good condition, I mean, man, I'd hate to see what their house and stuff looks like if they call that sort of junk they sell good condition. I'd hate to see their lives at all, really. Because their idea of good condition is absolute junk. They must have a face full of half their teeth missing or something and call it good dentistry. Because that's the sort of stuff they sell. So I guess, look at that, it's got a impressive bit of casting there. And that's one of the reasons these things probably weren't the cheapest. But I might clean all that belt off since I can now do it easily. Maybe scrape it with a big screwdriver or something. And try and get some of this muck off me as well. My God, you always get it all over you. The lovely smell of acetone again. But I suspected this would probably be like this, and that's the risk you take with eBay. It's just so many liars on eBay. They charge top dollar for absolute crap, basically. And it seems to be getting worse, because, you know, the good thing now is at least they give you refunds. So if someone sells you rubbish, then you can just get a refund. Usually it's not worth their time to get it back. So I think I've bought 2 remote controls for older videos that both of them were faulty. I think I managed to get them going. They were probably in some videos I did. But, you know, didn't even bother to test them. Or people send you the wrong things. I think there was a guy listed a beer tap twice instead of taking a photo of the other version he had, and of course sends me the one I really wanted. The one I bought a few off him, but I needed the one that he had in the photo that I bid on, and he must have sold that earlier to someone else, I think, because it was in a, I think it was, turned out it was in a different listing, and so he's just sent me some random one similar but not the same thing by any means. So I ended up with that one for nothing, but I'm pretty sure I've already got it, so it's not really much use to me anyway. But that's the sort of stuff that goes on. At least most of them are pretty good and refund stuff, or if you say it hasn't turned up. I just had one that, a DVD that took I think 3 or 4 weeks from Western Australia to here. And I contacted the person after about 3 weeks and said, oh, it still hasn't shown up, have you got any tracking? And they just gave me a refund. Of course, I went and ordered another one from another seller, because they didn't have another one. And like 2 days before that turned up, the original one turned up. And I contacted them and offered to pay for it, but they didn't want it, so that was nice of them. But I got 2 of the bloody things. No idea what Australia Post did with it. In the meantime, all addressed correctly and stuff. So, you know, that's not the seller's fault when those sort of things happen. I think I had one from Germany, a record or something, I went to Sri Lanka, that's right. It took 4 months or 5 months or something to get here. When it arrived, it had been addressed correctly, but said that it had been to the Sri Lankan post office. So I did actually contact them and pay them for it. After they gave me a refund for the same reason. I said, well, you know, do you know what's happening with it? And they just refunded me without any questions. Which is the right thing to do, but yeah, that was completely nothing to do with their fault that it went to Sri Lanka. That was, who knows who, someone in the post office somewhere put it in the wrong container. Get rid of that stinky stuff. So that is so much better that I can do that nice and quick like that. What did I do with that washer? It's over there. If I don't bump it with something. So I've got a hell of a lot of gears and stuff in here. That's the other reason I wanted to pull it out to see what those idlers are like, and I think they look alright. What can I poke them with that isn't covered in goo? I'm going to have to wipe the goo off that screwdriver, I think. Okay, what are our idlers? Let's just hope they're intact, because if they're stuffed, then the deck's probably scrap. But no, that seems to be fine. I don't know if I can easily get down there and clean it. I don't think I'll worry too much. Probably should put a little bit of oil on this thing, I guess. Still a bit stained on the end colour wise. Don't know if I can get that off there. Kind of weird, it's got a kind of coppery colour from the oxide. I don't think it's going to change colour either, it's weird. Don't think I've ever seen that before. It can't be stained. It's stainless steel or something. It must just be a super good coating of it. Yeah, some of it's coming off on the cotton bud slowly. Weird. So that goes right up there. Let's put a little dab of oil on it. That's a bit too much. I'll wipe some of that off. Let's try and turn something there. Well, it could be in any position at the moment. Yeah, that's turning a gear. Can I get it to stop or do something? Don't know if I should be turning that, but it stopped, so that's probably where I want to be. Ideally, is not engaged to anything. This one's got a gear on it, so what happens with this one? Does it just... well, I don't need to take it out anyway, to be honest. All I'm going to do is scrape it off where it is. And I really need to get that bit of gooey belt before it drops and causes havoc down in the mech somewhere. Oh, come on, of course it's the bloody wire in the way. Trying to stop me getting it. It's always something. Just about to grab it and something gets in your way and stops you. Yuck, that is disgusting. I think I can do it in situ, which is probably the safest bet. I don't know if that is a press fit little gear down there or what, but if it is, it's probably better to leave it the hell alone rather than risk cracking it or something, which it may not do, but I don't really fancy finding out. If I don't have to fiddle with it, I won't bother. But I might be saving someone else a bit of work here in the future, who knows. But I don't really care. I want to see this thing running ideally. But the mechanism itself is an unknown quantity. There were probably a few different manufacturers around back then, I don't know if Tannerson ever went into the auto reverse era back then. It might have done. This could be one of theirs, but nothing gives it away. It's a bit higher quality in many ways because it's aluminium capstans and all that sort of thing. But weren't the Tannerson, some of the Tannerson of that era were aluminium, I think. Yeah, that was that era of mech from them with the one of those 33s or whatever they are. But other than that, nothing really looks at all similar. Oh, they're using the little flat blade screws there, but they're different to the ones that are in this one. I think the head at them, it's got like more like European looking flat screws. So the more I look at it, the more unlikely they came out of the same factory, but yeah, impossible to know. What about the plastic gears, I guess? Do they look like they're anything similar? Not at all. Some of them are the same sort of white plastic, I guess. Oh, and the idler, I guess, which is not in that one. The other ones have the normal sort of more common white plastic with black idler tyre. Oops, something's falling off. That wasn't even part of that mech. That was a pulley off something. Yeah, impossible to really say. Oh, we've got one of those little bits that the slide bit goes on. That looks a bit Tannerson. Could be a standard design many people use though. A little plastic bit split into two bits. That metal bit sort of slides over and it holds it in place while it slides up and down, but you can also release it in a certain position. I think that's the sort of thing. Could be related, but let's see if we can find one in these early mechs. No, I can't see the same thing on the Tannerson. They got just little cross bits. Yeah, that's the sort of design. The little, but that's just a little half one. That's the full. I think everyone probably uses those things. Oh, now that I've actually got this on film, one will probably show up somewhere, as they have a habit of doing. So I need to get a belt that goes round there. Oh, back, I haven't even cleaned the motor yet, have I? That's another thing that's got to be done. Oops, got a bit on my fingernail. Of course. Get this pulley clean and we should be ready to put a new belt on it, because it would be good to try this out. And then yeah, still got the problem of the iffy VU meter. God, still getting this stuff on me. And maybe it'll be a goer, but we don't know if there's any other issues with this tape deck yet. And until you get it going, you never know. Chances are it'll be alright, but something could be seized, or an electrical issue or something. Who knows? The motor could be pretty bad, and no doubt it'll have a bit of wow and stuff in it. And yeah, we should really change that counter belt as well, I guess. It can't be far from the goose stage as well. at least the motor's on the same part as the capstans of this one, so they're quite a bit too short. None of this messing around. None of this messing around with things on different levels. What have we got? 126. Well, there's some shorter ones here somewhere. Okay, we're already up to 100. Big gap in between. 110, 115. Let's see what they're like. God, is that really it? Oh no, there's two of them. Well, that's getting up there, isn't it? God, look at the wrinkles in this thing. That's been stuffed in a bag for a very long time. By now it's probably been at least 30 years or something, so that's a bit of a worry, but maybe its day has finally come. Risky place to put a bag of belts, that's for sure. That's too long, I think. Yep, way too long. Well, its day isn't today. So maybe it is only around 100. Or maybe less. I've got 100 left. Oh, I always thought 100 was a bit shorter than that, but maybe not. Got this lever thing in the way. It's staying in place, not very well, but it'll do for now. Slipped under, of course. Not a very good way to treat the belt. You want to keep it off any potentially oily bits. Come on. Get that out from under there. It seems to be clean still, so that's good. Should be able to sort of wind it on, though we've got a twist in it big time. That'll be right. That's not bad, that belt, but I think it needs to be a bit shorter. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's actually, cool, it's a little bit loose, but it's gripping alright. I think that's all I got. Yeah. 100 is the last one, or it's 54. Well, that'll have to do. Don't know that I really need to grease anything or anything. Oh, there are those mounts going afterwards for their little circuit board standoff things. So I think we just bend all this back into place. Not the ideal way to do it, I guess, but I don't see why that wouldn't work fine as long as it's not rattling. It's a little loose. Let's get this back together, then we can think about whether I do the counter belt, which I guess I better do. There were 3 mounts. Where was the other one? There, is it? I think for the moment I might just even get, I'm going to have to put the other one in first, I think, because I've got to get those 2 ties for the cables on. That was the corroded looking thing. I've lost my mount there, so that might just have to have a screw for now and hang in the breeze a bit. Not much good, but that's what we're going to do at the moment. That's going to go there. I swear that other one will be hanging in the wiring here or something, because that's what happens. We'll go through that damn pair of wires to do that, I think we'll have to get them on first, slide that under there, try and get that under there, get those out of the way, and hope I can get down that. Of course that black plastic thing's moved. Oh, we got it. Okay, I better just get these caps done, and heads are clean as per usual. Just put a new counter belt on there. Just goes from the reel like usual across through a hole in the middle to the counter itself, so nothing new there. I've got something engaging with gears there. Definitely had some pretty horrible tape through it at some point by the look of it. There's a lot of seeming dusty stuff on the pinch roller as well. That's definitely had something bad in it. Probably an old 70s tape or something that was all falling to bits. Don't think anything used to clog tape decks up quite like those things. That real orangey brown muck everywhere. Give the other pinch roller clean as well. It's just a bit dusty, I think, more than anything. So it looks like this deck's probably mostly worked in the normal direction. The capstans, I guess, were both pretty dirty, but actually that'd be the opposite direction, wouldn't it? If the pinch roller on this side's dirty. That's most of it off. There's a bit of a ring around that one. I think that'll have to do for now. Let's get that little metal plate back in. I think the bottom of it just sits there. And hopefully stay. Oh, got it the wrong way around, haven't I? Screw holes at the top. Got to lift that little record tab up. I think it sits on the black plastic things where there's a little flat bit ends. I guess we probably should fit the screws. I know, don't tell me one of the screws has gone walkabout. Oh, where the hell did that go? Alright, is that it over there? It's stuck to the screwdriver, that's why. Jeez, you gotta watch these things. I might take that off. I can't remember, maybe did I unscrew that with the brass things attached? I can't even remember now. That's how bad my memory's getting. Still, that was a few hours ago now. Get that to sit down. Get that lever out of the way. Yeah, that's pretty horrible, having loose parts. Is that going in? I think that's in the thread. Must be for sure now. Oh, come on. Yeah, that must just sit there under a bit of tension. Not the ideal thing on earth, but it'll do. So we need our circuit board back, plug everything in, get that record thing. Oh, that's moved. It went like that, that's why. They always seem to do that. That was the one that went over to the record playback switch. Where did this one go? There. Must do. Is there another one or is that it? Oh, it would have been just on the rest of the antenna and yeah, just the VU meter. I think that's it. I've got to put the record switch bit roughly in alignment with the record switch. That other little post, of course, I now notice has fallen off. They choose their times to show up. Antenna on. Put the power connector back in, and of course that now decides that it's going to do black belt stuff everywhere, and I've got no idea what it's actually coming off. Ooh, we lift up and we play. Counter's going, we've got a LED to say we're going that way. Take up is good, hopefully, yep. Oh yeah, so you press stop and it slowly, let's change direction. Well, that didn't work. Change direction doesn't do a bloody thing. So let's go click. But it does something when I hit play again. No rewind. Fast forward at least works. Even pause is a mechanical thing. Not surprisingly. If I press that again, that doesn't lock in. Maybe it's not meant to. Anything to do with the other direction though. So we're still miles from being a worker. Can't rewind. Can't change direction. Doesn't even try. Damn, so this needs a lot of work. But while I'm here, now we've got radio. Uh-oh. I think I've killed the audio. Oh, we've got no speakers plugged in. Phew. That's always an issue when you've got the board floating around like this. Still nothing. Ah, there it is. There's no antenna, so that won't help. So while we're in that mode, we know we're running. Why haven't I got voltage to my display? Which one's, that must be the ground there, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, put 1 volt. So that means this chip, if I'm not mistaken, isn't running. It also goes to line, comes down here, goes to a, what the hell is that? Looks like a switch or something. You tell me that in record switch, well that would change it. Oh yeah, dodgy record switch though. That makes it go up and down. That would certainly stop it working in the radio mode probably. Well, doesn't look like it just works in that mode. I reckon giving that a clean will probably solve the issue. Hopefully. But when you see something head straight for the record playback switch, you know that's probably your issue. But I wonder if that is it's probably a tape playback IC, isn't it? That's what that'll be. That'll be your tape preamp, so that's not working either because, well, possibly because of the record play switch. Might turn out that's got nothing to do with it. Still no VU meter seemingly. No. Oh, but maybe because we're in radio mode, but then the VU should work in other modes, surely. Okay, so I did a bit of tracing of the tracks on this board and realised that this LED level meter is probably functional. It just doesn't, it's actually switched off by the radio tape function switch in the radio mode. When you get a radio, it's basically the power's turned off to it. When you go to cassette mode though, it turns out it actually is on. Of course, without the play running before I couldn't see that it was, so if I tap on the heads with a magnetic screwdriver, can see that going. And what I also found was it goes via this record switch, because I sort of traced that bit first before I found where the rest of it went. So I'm guessing that when you go into record on the tape deck with the radio running and recording the radio or microphones or whatever, this will probably run in that mode as well. But when you're in radio mode, maybe just to save power or whatever, they've disconnected it, so turn the radio up and nothing. So bit of a weird design there, but that seems to be all it is. But we do still have the problem of, yeah, we can fast forward, play in one direction, not change direction, not rewind. So I guess I should try and have a look, as if I can work out why that doesn't work. Well, I can see the idler swing across, so that's something. Ooh, that's trying to go or something. If I turn it, it swings back again. Why turning there? Yeah, that's the... So that gear, yeah, gear there, so those gears swing across. But the gears aren't actually turning, so something's... Well, that idler should turn it, shouldn't it? The capstan, I mean. It's going to fast forward. I think that's engaging with the actual capstan. That geared bit on the capstan when I pulled it out. When I swing it the other way, that outer gear on the idler, I don't think contacts it at all. So it's not swinging far enough across, maybe. Oh, I know what's going on. The capstan isn't turning. So there's too much force, so maybe, so it's actually making the belt slip. So when I was trying to turn it, something weird was fighting back, so something's wrong in that capstan area, I guess. It does feel a bit tight. It turns easier one way than the other, so I think we've got something seized in there somewhere. Which is not surprising. So it's probably got a few other issues in this deck, which is pretty normal for these things. Might just have a quick look again, pull this board back out, and maybe pull the back off the capstans. I'll probably, oh, that was that capstan I didn't bother taking out, of course. It's the one that's probably playing up because it had a gear on the front. I think it's underneath that one. That, oh no, maybe the bits are kind of clear of that, hopefully. I think I might have to take, maybe I need to take this other board off. Is that more the point? In fact, do I need to take these boards off at all is another question kind of thing, right? Before I rush in there. Let's just put those things to hold the standoffs back in place, because in reality, they're flathead, aren't they? I think it's got more to do with either the back of the idlers or the reel itself. Let's see if this board easily removes. Looks like it does, thankfully. What have we got here? A couple of switches, couple of, are they Hall effect sensors? Are they not? They're not more standoffs, are they? Are they just transistors? Oh no, there is, I think there's magnetic sensors on the back of these, or a sort of magnet. They're the magnetic sensors. There's two Hall effect sensors, I think, and there's a bit of magnetic stuff on the back of the reels by the look of it. So that reel should, well, I saw it, it must have engaged because it's actually causing the capstan to stop. To be honest, I could probably do with some new grease on there as well while I'm in here, but oh yeah, that's not very good, I don't think. Yeah, definitely on that sticky side. Never a good sign with grease, so I might even give that idler a quick grease. Yeah, that stuff's sticky and horrible. Because it won't hurt to make sure that that can actually slide it to where it's got to go, even though I don't think that's our problem. I think it's more likely the reel isn't turning very well or something. I don't know why it's got so much grease on the top of this, because it does absolutely nothing on top. I probably should really take that clip out, but I think just a bit of grease under there will do. It's better than what it's got at the moment, which is just sticky grease, and most of it seems to be on top instead of underneath. Try and get just the right amount in there. Now, what's that little chip in there? Can't actually read it. But that is probably something to do with those Hall effect sensors. And I've got to work out where do those switches sit. Oh, they go above either bit of this. Oh, so that knows which direction the idler's going in, I guess. That's interesting. So it knows where it's sitting, and it also knows if it's not turning. Or each reel's not turning. So that's a good design. So if either reel starts or stops working and it starts chewing a tape, this thing should stop before it gets very far. I have to wipe that grease off. It's got to be the reel itself, I think, playing up. And you can't access any from this side anyway, so I'm going to have to take that metal plate off the other side again. Should have known we'd come across something like that, but you got to test these things before you know it. And sometimes they just all go back together and everything works. Other times you get this sort of issue. That's the eject lever. Do I even need to take that plate off? I don't think I even... Oh no, where does... Oh, is that part of... Oh, actually maybe I should have took the mech off from behind. Is that what we have to do? I think that's... Yeah, the more I look at that, that whole piece comes off, I think. I shouldn't have put that board back in yet. I seem to be better, but I think that reel doesn't actually come off from the other side. The more I look at it, it's got a big gear on the bottom of it, and it's not just going to slide off, I don't think, without taking this other bit. And that's the problem with these unfamiliar mechs. You chase around a bit. Oh yeah, how did I not even notice the two screws staring at me? And we've got this solenoid in the way. It's going to have to go, I think. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I didn't even spot that. That made the old solenoid pop off with the... It's got a spring on it. Uh-oh, something came with it though. I didn't want that. Oh dear, we got some sort of lever. I thought it might just slide off the actual shaft there, which does pretty much fall out. I better put that to one side. Where? Oh, that's set on top of a gear here. Oh, so we might have to pull this apart anyway, just to get that back in place. Brilliant. Not what I was planning on, but I think we're probably gonna have to take the capstans out to get this bit out, because I just realised the idler in the middle is going to be in the way. Anyhow, let's loosen this off and see what we got. So it probably means all the belt and everything's going to have to come off again, just to be a pain. Yeah, that's got to slide it upwards to come out, I think, and with the idler attached, so yeah, that's means a complete disassembly again, I think. Possibly with the capstans having to come out. Well, I wish I knew that the first time. But, like I say, until you get it running, you don't know what other bits aren't actually operating. hopefully whatever this is will fix the auto reverse and the rewind at once. Hopefully it's the same, some shared part there is causing both of them to play up, which is most likely the case. Now, how did I get this apart before? I think so. One thing I need to do is probably unplug it from the main board. Get the box out of the way. Oh, we took this switch off. That's right. That's a little screw for the switch. I thought this came out of the way a bit better last time, but did I drop it to this side? Problem is it's going to be in the way on this side probably. Well, that's no fun. And I had a bit of trouble getting that belt on last time, so we're going to have to repeat that by the look of it. Let's remove that completely. Now, one capstone just slides out, I think, with just a plastic washer on it. Oh, I'm going to have to take that. Where's the plastic washer gone? I did put that back on there, I'm sure I did, or is it just it's probably choosing to stay down the bottom end there, so I'm going to have to take this plate off again. I didn't want to take that off, but because that was fiddly to get on too. Oh, but going to have to take the counter belt off anyway, so that's going to have to come off the reel. Yeah, that's a point. Because the reel's not likely to pull. Oh, it had to drop, didn't it? Son of a gun. Take that off. Not much moving yet, but anyway, where's the plastic washer gone? I'm sure I put that back on there. It seems to have vanished, or is it just... It's so invisible you can't tell where it is. Yeah, it's gone. Did I forget to put that back on? Maybe I did. What? I can't remember what I set it on now, so I might have lost that. That wasn't too smart. Oh yeah, if you just pull on that, the gear starts sliding, the plastic gear on this side. I guess you just keep pulling it. Of course I have to let go of it because I can't possibly grab it. Yeah, it's a worry if I lost it. I can't remember what I did with it, whether I put it back or not, but anyway, that's another thing to worry about later. It'll probably turn up on the bench somewhere if I didn't put it back. And I don't know where that other bit went off that solenoid, but we'll sort that out when the time comes. So I need to try and lift this little mech up, but it's got two little pieces pushing into the chassis here. And it doesn't seem... I think I might have to take this reel off, get that out of the way, because that seems to be catching. Assuming it comes out of the way. So I'm going to take that plastic clip off. I was hoping it would all come at once, but I guess that's asking a bit much. Oh, because that's caught on this other gear. Oh no. Yeah, no, they've got me here. Oh, you've got to dismantle everything. That means I've got to take this gear off, which means I've got to take this lever off. And this is how a simple job... What? Did I just see something drop then, or was I imagining things? Yeah, a simple job becomes a nightmare. And that's why these things, you know, you can't pay top dollar for them because you're going to be spending a lot of time on them. This thing needs a whole rebuild pretty much. So it's definitely not a working unit by any means. Ah, come on. So that goes up into a slide plate. I'd say the side to side slide plate isn't just lift off, thank God it does. And we're going to have to undo this clip. I might mark that just where that gear goes. I might mark this one too before we do any more. I mean, well, that's got a hole there, but yeah, whether they have to line particularly or not, I don't know, but in case this one's bound to have some pins or something that it engages with, I guess. So we're going to have to try and slide these two bits up together, I guess. It may well need some grease replacing anyway. Yeah, that's kind of getting a bit tacky for my liking. It's pretty sticky. There's the idler assembly. Doesn't sound the best, so it probably needs a lube. Now hopefully this bit comes out now with the reels on it, but does it? Where does this wire go? Because that has been a pain. I don't know if that comes up with it. I probably just have to get it out of the way, I think. But it doesn't want to go out of the way. That's it, there's a switch under there, so here we go. Of course everything spins absolutely freely, so it could be this brake is on. Yeah, they're fine. That one felt a bit tight, so maybe still a little bit, certainly not perfect, but come on, I don't think that's, I'll give it a lube I guess. I don't think it's that bad though. Could it be, well, the brakes come off maybe together? If either thing goes down, the brakes come off. That's a bit sticky grease as well. Might have to get rid of that stuff. So that slides a bit better. Guess I might as well lube everything I can while I'm in here. But yeah, quite a bit job to pull it all to bits. Yeah, that grease wants to go as well, I think. It's not really doing much, but matter of time before it does, no doubt. That could probably do with some re-greasing. And a bit under, where do we get it? Down there somewhere. That's pretty good. Bit too much, but it'll do. Certainly a lot freer than it was. Those bits on, I'd put a bit on. Might be a bit too much there. That's all solid, so that's the only sliding bits plus whatever that is, which is there's a slide plate. I don't think that's got anything to do with the reels though. We've got an, oh, of course we've got an idler here, haven't we? So that's another. What do they run though? Oh, they do run the reels. I guess that's between. How does that get to it? Ooh. I did see something drop off. I thought I saw something fall, and there it is. There's a little black plastic washer there. I'm not sure what that came off. Maybe the underside of this. That could be it. Whoops. Where does that sit in that pin? So that runs off the idlers. Runs off the capstans. Swings around here somewhere into the geared part, but then we have a play idler. So where does the play idler run from? Or is there something on the back of those? Oh, maybe. Oh, they run off the capstan. That's what it would be. Oh, yeah. That'd go off the little wheel on here. So that... No, yeah, it does. That goes right, because that brass shaft goes right up inside here. So these have to pull inwards, like it currently is. And it's squeezed between this piece here and the actual piece on the reel here, which will be upside down, of course, onto this surface here. And of course I'll put fresh grease on that, which, yeah, that is certainly not completely free. Oh well, that makes sense of that. Always pays to know what you're actually dealing with. Let's get rid of that grease. Always seems to be on the screwdriver I need next. So I'm going to take the little plastic washer off here. Where's the split? Does it have? I don't think these ones actually have splits in them, which they're not good, those ones, because they will break if you're not careful. They'll end up with a split where they shouldn't. Yeah, there's a little magnet for the Hall effect sensor. I better make sure I clean that when I'm finished with it. Yeah, clutch seems good. That's a solid piece. This bit, of course, in the play mode has a bit of a clutch. So I might just put a bit of oil on that. Doesn't seem to spin as well on that one for some reason. A bit too much oil on the bottom now, I think. It's pretty free though. Yeah, let's see, that lifts up there. Well, I don't think I'll get it much freer than that. Yeah, it should be pretty good. I think that's in place. Yep. Feels less free now though, but that one's free as. As soon as I put that washer back on, something broken here. That's weird. Why is that one less free than the other one? That has a little bit of play. That doesn't. So it's a part of this coming apart or something. There's no like natural movement of the whole thing on the shaft, whereas that one's got a slight, just the slightest. That's enough to make that really free. Oh no, so what's out here? One of these bits must be coming apart. Well, that bit just moves independently anyway. What sets the height of that? That's just cool. That slides up until it meets. Well, how can it have a gap on that one then? Well, that must reach an end point, I guess. This is the things you find. Lots of little bits just ever so slightly out. And this thing really doesn't want to come off easily. Oh, I've got it, I think. Yes, that just sits ever so slightly into where that washer goes. Oh, can't be serious. And the clutch I think's alright, but I guess that has a spring in it somewhere, so that might be... Oh no, this is the spring for the clutch. That should be put, yeah, that should rise. If I lift that up, it should pop back down. Of course, it's got to press onto the face. So either this piece is lifted, which I don't think it really can, but it's got to be a separate piece, doesn't it? Or this piece here is rising up too far. I wonder if it's worn, whatever's... Oh, I was going to say it must unclip, and it does. Never like it when things give way suddenly. So whatever allows that to slide up and down is allowing it to go too far, because it's probably worn. Oh, why is there a loose bit in there? Is that a loose bit? What is that thing? It's on an angle, whatever it is. Yeah, it moves around in there, so that's... okay, let's see if I can get that out. There is something in there. That's the bit that slides up and down, I think. What have they designed here? Doesn't come out though. I don't think. Not easily. Well, that's annoying. Oh, is it starting to come down? Oh, that's what I was afraid of as well. I don't like things that suddenly go. So that bit slots into there. That's what actually holds it together, I think. And it must just sort of pop in there to hold this bit on. Oh. So it's not much really holding all the spring and everything in place. So if that was slightly out, the only thing it could be is that piece I just pushed in, so you could probably push a screwdriver down here somewhere and get that to fully push on, maybe. That didn't feel good. That's just slipped down the hole, but and I don't think it's the slightest bit different. Still too high, I think. I mean, can that be enough to... Still doesn't spin as freely as you'd hope. Why though? Because that's catching it. It's actually catching in that... Oh yes, it's pushing into the little slot is enough to probably... At least when it's like this... It's just catching, I think, but that's just because the slot's open. Once we put the little washer back on, it'll stop it doing that, but it doesn't fix the problem of it being slightly too long. No idea. I can't really put a bit of... Maybe I can put a tiny bit of grease in there, but it's... Of course, this bit sticks out into the cassette, so we don't really want grease, but I might just put a little bit of grease, tiniest amount, so it pushes up onto that washer a bit. I should lube it a little bit better. Nowhere near as free spinning as that one though, which just whips along. Yeah, quite a nice little gap when you push that one down. You can see 1/2 mil to that. Push this one down, nothing. So all I can really do is put it back together. We'll just clean these reels since I've had my hands all over them and they've probably got oil and grease on them, and these have got to go against those rubber idlers. I guess I can clean the rubber idlers now that I'm in here too. Use the other end, not the oil, potentially oily one. But yeah, I'm not sure if... Ooh, bloody spring came off. You son of a gun, where did that go? Was that on there somewhere? I think it was. God, I wish I'd take notice of these things. Oh, in there. In there to what? What was the other thing that pressed against it? No idea. Great. Yes, I got no idea on camera where this actual spring came from. I was obviously over this side somewhere, but another thing I've just noticed, I tried turning this gear and that's really this sort of pinky coloured one. That's really stiff. So that could be another thing that's not rotating her across properly and not allowing it to change modes or something like that. So I might just do that. But yeah, that spring just appeared out of nowhere. There's no sign of it on camera. Before it comes loose. But yeah, that I think would have definitely been faulty. Oh, the spring, that's why I suspect the spring's got something to do with pushing this, because now that I look at it, the fact this is stiff, even if it had a spring, it must have a spring that would have pushed it to engage at some point or something, and it's got these tab things here. It's got to have gone in there somewhere. I still can't work out exactly how, but I'm guessing this thing sticking up here is something to do with it. The fact you can't see it on camera means it's got to be in the darker part of things here somewhere. So is that where this big long piece went, was up to there? But where does this other end go? Does it push onto that pin? Is it something to do with this lever coming up or down? Oh, that's just the pause, isn't it? Anyway, we'll clean this shaft off. But yeah, it's just, you cannot see it against any of the silver background or anything, so I'm not sure where it was sitting, but the fact I had my finger here must have been somewhere on that post or something. That's about the only thing it can sit on. And I'm guessing it's something to do with this piece and forcing it to engage. But whether it always forces it to engage, I wouldn't think, because then it would be engaged all the time, wouldn't it? Don't know. But yeah, that's going to be a bit of a pain to work out, I think. Let's at least get that spinning freely again, would be a good start. Oh, that's actually hitting on... Oh, I see, that hits on something. So maybe that other piece is nothing to do with the spring. Well, I've hit something. No, yeah, that goes, depending which way you turn it. Oh, it's only when you turn it that way, maybe. Okay. I did mark this too where it was sitting, so I better put that back where the mark is. But something must force it to engage. The only way that can, well, I can sit two ways, can't it? Potentially. I don't know if that went under this thing. The fact it came out so easy would suggest it was barely sitting there. I don't think the other one reaches that thing. Oh, it does reach that thing. Oh, okay. So that pin has to go under the little tab thing. This, son of a... That's why it came off. And it was under tension, so we can work this out. So that little short side must go under this black plastic thing. It sits on this post. It's the only thing the right diameter. It goes under there, and then this must have come around the other side. I think we're going to have to put it under there first. Under the other side of that. It must have been on that side of it. But how do I get this other arm in then? I think we've got to take this off. Of course it comes off no problem when I don't want it to, but you'll never get it back together again, of course, like most of these things. And yeah, it just shoots off. That's got to go under there. This bit must spring over this way somewhere and sit on top of that bit, but of course, yeah, it just shoots out again. It takes nothing, that thing just slips out as easy as. Surely it can't be that. Yeah, as soon as you turn this round, so maybe it doesn't go that far around because that bit gets shorter and slips out. Or can we do it? Maybe if I'm a bit more careful. And that's our mark. Put that bit back in. Yeah, it must have, there's the black stuff. That's probably where it was sitting against. Or is that just where I've put grease on it? I think I've rubbed all the damn grease off on this now. Maybe that's just my grease that I had on that post has now all come off. Let's re-grease it just to make sure we've got plenty on there. So this is obviously a hair trigger. Yeah, no, it just pops off. Okay. Now, could it go just to there or something? I doubt it. You would see it on the camera. The problem is, nowhere to put it, and how to get it there and to stable. I think last time I just let go and it just shot off, didn't it? But that's the point, I need to hold that. Yeah, that forces that thing into engagement. That is probably right. So now I've got to try and stick that on and then get the idlers in without letting go of this thing potentially. Yeah, that I think is probably a good sign. But then, yeah, then so maybe if we put that where the tension is least, but yeah, it just wants to fly off. But I think if I can get the idlers in, is it going to let me put the idlers in? Okay, so a new tack. I've got the spring under that thing, leaning against this brass bit for the capstan. I'm thinking, why don't I actually see, and it probably won't work, but can I get this idler assembly back in? If I can get this idler assembly back in here and hold that spring in place with the screw that holds this down, well, it hasn't shot off yet, I don't dare touch it. Then maybe I can put the other bits in, or this slide plate, maybe move it across so that little pin comes in. I'm not sure what's exactly going on, but I think I can work on it with this bit in place, so that might make life all that much easier. So it can't basically shoot off every time it wants to, which I think might be the key to it. See, then I think it goes behind that metal pin sticking up there on this slide plate, which doesn't move now. You got to move this slide plate. Is it going to spring out? It seems a bit dodgy the way it is, but it's either got to go behind this piece or it's got to go on that side of this piece, so it's one or the other. No, now that won't come off. So I'm just going to have to try and fit it and hope it actually fixes it. Now that's got that sideways piece, so I need to put that in. Can that spin round? I hope it's just staying over now. Maybe that's the idea. Oh yeah, well, it hasn't. Oh yeah, so I pushed this piece across, I think, and it's stayed across. Is that what's happened? Oh yeah, now it's... That doesn't really seem right, does it? But yeah, it's pushing it and it goes back, so it comes out, goes back. Not sure if that's right. That's how this, yeah, this, it forces that into place, I think. Yeah, then it goes. That's kind of what I think this gear is meant to do, though it should stop on a dead spot occasionally. Let's take the pressure off there. Then that spring doesn't do anything. So maybe that's it. When this releases, that pushes this into contact and it rotates, which then helps push that across. Maybe, yeah, something. I think that is correct. So the spring pushing back against this bit and on a little pin on that other bit. Very hard to know because it just loved slipping off before, but I think it's just long enough to stay on there. I wasn't sure if it was ever going to stay there properly, but it seems to be. If I can wind all that through and it doesn't come off, I assume it's, now that it can't escape because the idler's, sorry, the reel assembly's back in. So that might have been the key to the whole thing, is get that in place. Well, it's all I can do to try it. There's nowhere else that spring can really sit. At least now it's, with this bit in place, it's not clashing with that black bit of plastic that the other end of the spring's under. I think that must be it. It's got to be it. Well, I guess we'll find out. I also cleaned the old grease out of this gear and re-lubed it. That's got to go in. I'm going to put the idler back on there. That should go there, I think. This then goes in. Oh no, this goes in. This has to slot down at the same time. That's right. And I've got to get that pin into this hole somewhere. Now, oh yeah, I did mark it. That's alright, so we've got to get that in among, engage with those and get that on that shaft, and it should have been about there. drop the idler down, drop that down. Is that pin actually in there? Which piece is it, that one? Yeah, that's it. Once you make sure it's right down. Now, was that the one with the circlip on it? I think it was. I've got the other one clipped back in, yeah. So yeah, quite a messy mechanism, this one. But it's just that spring threw me because you could not see it on camera even. I knew it was in there somewhere because I'd seen it before. I think this gear was blocking some of the view of it. I hope that was it. Anyway, we'll soon find out. There's nowhere else it can really go, I don't think, so hopefully that's it. And we'll put that idler back in place. And we've got the capstans, we've got this, yeah, this weird pinch roller. Oh yeah, because this, of course, pinch roller. We've got this solenoid here, which that must also trigger this gear. The weird thing is, how on earth does that sit? All I know is that the solenoid just came out. I've seen it. Whoa, that pin goes in there. Oh, that's, I was going to say, there's something else we got a washer for. That was this thing. That explains what that is holding on. Well, it would be if I can get it off my finger. These ones are awful without the split in them. They are just really difficult to get back in place. Well, they're difficult to get off and difficult to get back on, so that's why they obviously... This must have been prior to them inventing the split washer. Split little nylon washer thing. I guess someone thought, why don't we put a split in that and make life easy? Yeah, so the solenoid, which is floating around here somewhere, or do I put the capstans in first? I don't really want to put the capstans. I can put one in, I guess. The one with the gear on it. I guess really I should give them another clean too. That's worthless. Just around there where that idler tyre runs, in case I've put any greasy fingerprints or anything. I wonder, oh, I know where. Is that where those washers fell off? Yes, that's it. That, I think probably that pair, a little clear and a black one. We had this problem with something else where a washer snuck off a capstan. So of course you lift the capstan up, I have no idea that the washers have stayed behind. But I did see something fall in somewhere, so that will be that where they went. Much better. So that's nice of them to do that. I hope I was safe to tip this thing back up. I don't think there's anything loose on the back. I'm going to try and push this gear back on. It's going to be fun, because that's where it's risky of the plastic snapping or something, or splitting. I think if I use some pliers, yeah, that's got most of the way. Question is that meant to be tight or what? I don't know. I think I might have made that a little tighter than it probably should be. Oh, yeah, of course that's. Oh, of course that's going to make the. Can I lift that slightly? That's going to engage something with the capstan. What is that? Well, it probably shouldn't be engaged at the moment. That's the issue. That's yeah, because God knows what I've been touching. I just want it disengaged so I can see if the capstan spins freely. I may have done that because it suddenly shot down a little tight, but can I? Oh, now I've done it too much. So it's going to be that little battle of trying to get it in the right spot where it's not too tight. Of course it just slides one extreme to the other. That's getting there. It's either fully on. Maybe if I hold that still. No, it just jumps in one big piece. And as soon as it goes, it slides too far. Oh, that's it. I've just managed to jerk it back a little bit. Oh, go away. Let's put the counterbelt back on because I can do that now. Then that's one less thing floating around. Hopefully I don't touch reels again. And I need to start looking at how this solenoid, of course it's wrapped around everything now. How this solenoid, where's it go? It goes that way and it sits there. And that thing goes in it somewhere. I guess. Oh, is there a piece on here that pivots on? What's this slot for? It's got to be for something. Oh man, these things. Of course, you unscrew them, not really. Ah, this goes on the chassis here. So that goes that way. Huh. And then it goes through the chassis, that plastic bit. And then the little pin obviously goes in this slot here. Oh, wow. Oh, at least I know. Actually, I think I'll put that back on before I put the capstan on, so that's something. Oh, did I have to remove it to get... No, I don't think I had to remove it to get the board in and out. No, I'm pretty sure I got that out earlier. Oh, so that makes all sense when you look at it. But yeah, there's a metal cutout in the side of the chassis here. Well, I guess I can show it in a minute when I get these screws in. Like most things, it's obvious once you know. So in the end here, there's this little white bit here in front of where the two solenoid screws are. There's a white bit there, and that's what that white bit of plastic, there's a little cutout with a little sort of flat pin sticking up through it that goes up the slot in the middle of that white bit. So that can now pivot ever so slightly. Here they've actually made the hole, it's not perfectly square, it's got a little room to pivot. Oh, and that's what stops it. I wondered what made this gear stop rotating at a certain spot, but it's this piece here, and then when you pull the solenoid in, it engages thanks to that spring. I think we've got that right, because it should engage. I think that was part of the problem. Well, that's why it wouldn't change directions, because that solenoid was going click, nothing was happening because that gear was seized. We're getting there. Fingers crossed this thing runs. I'm still not 100% sure if I fixed the rewind problem. Yeah, I don't know if I can get the mech into rewind at all. So yeah, that's got its washers still. Let's try to grind with something. Yeah, I can't really do much at the moment. So the belt was actually slipping. Now maybe it's partly due to that belt. I'm thinking I should change to another size, but the other size was riding up, wasn't it? So I can't do that. It may be that I have to get a 95 belt for this thing because that one's too slippy. Of course that's gone round that bracket. These wires are such a pain. They catch on anything and everything. And was this those little, yeah, it was those little flat blades. So that's quite an effort just to get back to where we can put the belt in again. If only I'd known it beforehand. And that is one of the worst things with these things that have been lying around. In the old days, you just have a slipping belt to replace, and that would have been it. The machine would have been used up until recently, and then the belt started slipping. But something that's been sitting around for 20 years, maybe doing nothing. Completely different ball game. Because you fix the oily belt, the gooey belt, and then you find that all the other things that are wrong with it that have seized up from lack of use. Oh wait, was there a switch? There was a switch. Make sure we get them in the right spot. I don't want to wreck the switches. There are, yeah, that was behind this thing, wasn't it? Doesn't seem to press either of them. But wasn't something slidable there? Oh, that just rocks. Oh, it can't go as far as it needs to go anyway, that's why I think. Yeah, no, definitely not engaging with the capstans, so we won't worry about that too much. Yeah, maybe that clear washer I should have put on the other side of the cap. Oh, there it is. I found that clear washer for the capsule. I told you it'd be on the bench somewhere. So that was the only other thing I was worried about, is where did that go? But I just found it. Now, can I get it back on there? Because I've got to try and get my hand through this silly door and get it to sit on there. God, and there's circuit boards hanging everywhere. And it does not like going on. I think I got it. Yep, starting to slide down, so that's good enough for me. I seem to remember putting that back on though. I'm pretty sure I did, but maybe, I don't know. Okay, so that's in place now too and should stay there. So we're going to put the belt on, then we're going to put the board back on and fiddle around with all, yeah, that little switch has to go on, fiddle around with all those standoff things. The fun never ends. But, you know, a lot of these auto reverse mechs are kind of like this because they're quite complicated and time consuming. That must, it does, oh yeah, because it's going that way, it does slip a bit earlier, easier than it probably should. Yeah, still, I mean, there's nothing, no load on it. Does seem a little slippery, that capstan. Guess I should double clean it just to make sure there's nothing on there, but I doubt there would be. It's going to be a bit slippery till that dries. Okay, let's put this little board back in place if it'll go. Now, where did that bit of wiring go? Just see. Oh, that was the one that was tied across, right across the screw. That's right, my favourite little wire, or pair of wires. Now I've lost one of the mounting posts again. Oh, you've got to be joking. Seriously? There it is. That's the problem with they roll. Should really put all the parts in it. Oh, I haven't put the bracket on, have I? So, endless steps. Okay, so let's get that bent back into place. Do I have to put that? Oh, I think I have to put the switch on first. I found out last time because I forgot to do it, and then had to take the board off again. And I do not want to be doing that board more than I have to, and now the little screw's gone. Oh wow. And there it is. Yeah, I need a better colour carpet, I think. That should sit in a particular spot. Little pin in the plastic. Oh yeah, that's something to do with some lever that comes through. And now these are fiddly little so-and-sos. That one goes there. And then this, yeah, this mongrel yellow and orange wire. That causes me all the grief. I think that actually hit the hole, amazing. Now this one is a lot fiddlier from memory. First, oh yeah, we've got to get it aligned with the hole. Oh, those wires. Are they the same ones? Oh no, they're different. Oh no, are they? No, they're different. Same colour, different wires. They always seem to be in my way. I'm starting to hate the combination of orange and yellow after doing this. Oh, this has got to go under that. Okay, let's put that one on there. That one goes under the wires and on there. Whether you absolutely have to do it that way, I don't know, but I'll do for now. How's that going to go into that? Those wires. I'm sitting right on it, but it won't go in, of course. That should come back over here. I can feel it. Well, luckily those holes are good enough that it goes in fairly easy, and we need that one. Sometimes they've made them so the screw just sort of falls in there when it gets to it. That was to do with, I've probably got it facing the wrong way. That might be better. Oh well, we can plug it back in, I guess, and fire this thing up in bits again and see if anything happens. Or if we've completely messed it up, it goes that way. Because that is quite an epic mech to work on. Unfortunately, a lot of these are like that. Oh, that's just that front thing I've got to put back on. I won't put that back on yet. Am I in business? And of course there's an earth wire trying to short things out there. Radio. Uh-oh. Why did that just go click? Oh, something was running. Oh, does it run on? And that just does a little spin. Weird. Oh no, it doesn't work in plane out. I've wrecked it. Oh well, we've got rewind at least going, but nothing locks in now. Huh, brilliant. Still don't seem to want to change directions. Damn it. Well, we fixed the rewind, that's something. Oh, is that the... Have we got... Oh, what with our auto stop? Oh, the auto stop was related to those little things here. I haven't done something to that, have I? I don't think those switches are engaged. Oh, well, that's just... It just stayed in... Yeah. For a second, it actually... Oh, yeah, it engages. Why does it tilting the port help? Neither of those switches seem to engage though, which is rather odd. Oh, can I change direction? No, we've still got that issue. It's not that capstan, not that solenoid operating, I don't think. What's clicking then? Oh, so that presses this switch. What the hell is clicking? Oh, this one. Okay, there's another bloody... I didn't even notice there's another solenoid here. That presses on, oh, something here with these gears. Oh god, the ones I haven't touched. Oh, they come off the capstan. That was that gear on the face of the capstan. Oh, they're engaged. I bet they're all as stiff as a... Oh, so that's got to the end. Yeah, it's when we're trying to turn that, it doesn't seem to want to... Oh, that's rotating, it seems to be. Gear's still going, gear's still going. Gear's still going, but nothing seems to be doing anything. Ah, damn. So that solenoid must engage that gear to engage the other gears. So it's meant to. It doesn't seem to want to work though. That was that one I had to push out of the way before. So I bet that lot's all seized up as well. But they're on the front, so that might mean I don't have to go into the back. Come on, move. Yeah, something's definitely stiff it seems. What is this thing doing? That doesn't seem right. I can't get it to disengage. I think I've done something bad. I'm betting one of these things is that shaft there, I think's probably seized, or that bit's a little seized, but it does move. Is the whole thing on that shaft? It's got to be that, I guess. Yeah, because when I wind that back, yeah, that big, not that anyone can see what I'm talking about, but that piece is seized, I would bet money. So for the direction change, it's this arm here, which has got a white gear and a different gear underneath it. That's seized, I reckon. But that doesn't explain what I've done to our... I wonder whether I put this board back in properly, because the switches don't seem to do anything now. Oh, is that only in... Oh, that's only in fast forward and rewind, I guess. I need to check those Hall effects anyway. Yeah, as long as it's above them, I guess. Wires are still connected, the motor's hooked to there as well. That's... it definitely seems to be bent. I don't think I put that one back in properly. That should be in the same position as the other one, surely, so I need to fix that one a little bit, I think. Oh, come on. I don't want it to short it together when it shouldn't. That's it. Oh, yeah, well that Hall effect sensor is bent, which makes me think I probably didn't get it back in the hole. So I'm going to have to double check that they go where they're meant to. That'll be the problem, especially it's because it's on the take-up side, I think. Yeah, it is. So that would have explained it all stopping maybe, but why did it not work in rewind maybe? So I'm going to try and get those. Hopefully they're where they're meant to go, because if that thing's just slightly too high or whatever because I bent it a bit, that's probably enough to stop it. Probably just bent it when I was messing around with the board loose. So I've still got seized up parts by the look of it, but at least they're on the front side. I'm hoping I don't have to pull this apart again, but that's assuming I'll get this belt back on. I don't know, it just... you look at it the wrong way and it falls off. Oh, what else? There's nothing you can put your finger on there. I don't think I touched the front of it, did I? I'll have to look on the camera, but it did that before, I think. But I think I did actually just touch it. Maybe I touched the motor end of it. But I don't want to have to take the brackets off to do the motor and stuff again. But what I'm finding, of course, is when I press the button, well, both lights were coming on, but I did touch this switch after that. I'm suspecting it's because I got this switch. I forgot to engage the switch, but I don't know what's making that weird noise now. But of course the camera decided to turn off right at the critical moment. Hopefully, I think last time I found I can just loosen this and not actually undo it. Well, the question is how loose is not undone. It's got to go a bit further. Oh, that damn wire. Don't come out, whatever you do. It's probably going to, just to be a pain. That should have been in place, I think, was the problem. I hope that's the problem. Hopefully that switch does more than just switch the heads in each direction. It actually tells it something else, otherwise I've got no idea why this thing keeps stopping. Yeah. Well, at least we don't have both lights coming up. Oh, I don't want to do that, do I? There's no point. Fast forward runs, rewind runs, except it stops instantly. So whatever should lock this mech in place doesn't lock it in, so it could be one of these wheels. It's not that one, it's the main big wheel, I think. It runs around, winds the mech across. So there's something else out on that big plastic wheel there. It must be. Did I miss something on that? But what I might do is see if I can get that circlip out of there, and we should just be able to pull all that off the front. It should be fairly straightforward in theory. Oh, so that's got another tooth, another fingered. I was going to say there must be one on the other side, but that's not over the piece either. I didn't take those idles in, I'm sure. But yeah, that's it. I think that piece is sitting in the wrong spot, so that might be part of the issue. But the more important issue, I think, is this thing here has got to be seized. Like, largely seized anyway. Oh yeah, I don't think it's able to move much. Now what? Oh, it goes down somewhere under the mech, does it? Oh no. So maybe it's more than just seized here, I don't know. That's starting to rise a bit. So, so what does it go down to below? Oh no, that's got it, that's definitely loose. But that's what worries me, is that it's going to be loose here. Oh, I can see it's, oh, it goes into this, there's a slide bar here. Oh my god. Things just keep getting worse. So that's the slide bar that pushes on this little thing. Oh, that's the bit that does the switch. Ah, gotcha. Ah, so this, oh, of course, this would do the switch, wouldn't it? Because that's the main change of function thing. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So it's possible this is not sitting in the right place and that's causing the issue with it shutting off or something. But I think we'll grease that lower slide bar, because there's no easy way of getting that out. And same with the piece that I thought was jammed. Well, I'm pretty sure it is still jammed, but it could be this slide bar that it's working on that's causing some of the grief at least. Let's clean the old grease off that. There's two screws holding it on. Yeah, that grease is not good. It's not totally terrible, I don't think, but where does that bar go across? Anything else? Yeah, it's a shame that this piece here goes right under the bar thing, making it really difficult. I can't just lift that up and take it out and clean it. Come on, grease, get in there. Actually, if that's out, I can probably grease the other side of it. That's it. That's got to help. Now, how do I do this thing without being able to remove it? I can't. Just clean what I can off, I guess. There's more grease down there by the look of it. Under the thing, maybe. Well, at least it's moving, that's a start. There you go, that way, get that grease out of there. Do I need to put a bit of oil on there or something? Oh, that bit's not seized, is it? Because that's got corrosion on that bit, so that probably doesn't help, does it? I think I have to take this other lever off. At least I can tell then if that's causing any issues. That would have been the easy way to fix. Oh no, it isn't the easy way to fix. That switch has to come off. Oh god. I don't think you can take this out easily. Yeah, that definitely is going to need some lubing, I think. So that's just, yeah, oh, you can slide it. Of course you can slide it like that. Of course you can. Yeah, it's still fairly tight. That needs cleaning because it's corroded. And lubing. It's reasonably tight, tighter than it should be, I think. I think I'm gonna, don't know mate, I might have to put a bit of oil where I don't really want to put some, just to get it to run down in there. It's either that or some RP7 or something to, at least the oil you can get to run down a bit. I guess that's going to be double face, that thing, isn't it? It's going to be like a double piece of metal bent around that has an upper face and a lower face that both go onto that pin. Which is exactly what it's got. Is that going to get some oil in there? I hope it is. And then we've got this other piece that goes to the solenoid here. That should make this other gear function. I don't think it does. No, more like these other gears are going to be stiff as well, but they're not too bad. I was hoping this piece would just lift out so I could lubricate everything, but you're going to have to pull this face of the deck apart, I think. Let's see, if I move that out of the way, like about there somewhere, and I hit the solenoid, there should be a, oh, there's a spring here. We've got another one of those damn black springs. That should, I think, push this thing to, yeah. Now that's going to need lubing, I think. That should be so free that that makes that engage. That rotates that, so it must engage the other way, is it? That's the record bit. And that should do something. When that's out, on that, what does that do though? That should stop something from moving, I think. So is that meant to be under this? Oh yeah, maybe it's meant to be under this bit. Is this bit sitting too high? Doesn't go any lower, it seems. That would allow that to move. If that, in that case, this would have to be super slippery, and it's tight as. Yeah, it's possible that sits there with a spring tension pushing on that. This blocks it. Or does that block that gear? Oh, hang on, I think that gear can't be in the wrong spot. That little pole, oh yeah, this should be, that should be there somewhere. I think I can get how it works. That should be further around. Why won't it turn? Yeah, that gear, something's wrong there. Oh, it's trying to hit this thing, that's why. Ah, so that doesn't... Because there's a little piece I can see there that should... Oh, that should... Yeah, it should go that way, though. What? Yeah, that should be against the face, but then this thing engages down there. But that should be unengaged. That should be disengaged. While this sits with its little face against this metal bit... And then when the metal bit releases, the spring forces that up, which engages that end because that rotates that way, which will, yeah, rotate that gear around. Yeah, this has got issues. Too many issues without pulling the whole deck to bits, I think. I have to lube all those gears, and especially this big arm is just still tight as. Okay, well, I tried contacting the seller on eBay, or I basically just asked for a refund and thought I'd have a chat to him, maybe make him a lower offer on this thing. Yeah, rather, because it definitely wasn't worth paying $50 as a supposedly working one plus another 20 something for postage. And they never got back, so eBay have stepped in and just told me I can send it back, so I think that's all I'll do with it, since it still has other issues with the front of it. The battery compartment's never going to be really repairable and without a whole new set of springs. So I mean, I think I'll just, to save time, I'll just cut that old belt, or new belt, take that out and basically leave it together. It is partially repaired, so it's better than when I got it. But that's about all I can do with it, really. Let someone else have a go at it. Or, you know, at least if they sell it honestly, someone can pay a proper price for it. I mean, I'd probably just about bid on it again if it was going cheap, especially knowing that I've half fixed the thing. But it still is quite a difficult deck to get going. It's gonna need another hour or so to work on it probably. So, yeah, it would have been nice to have this one as one of the, there's obviously 3 of these decks that all fit in that sort of range. Was it the 30, 50 and 70, I think. So it'd kind of be nice to collect them all, but you, at the end of the day, when people are trying to rip you off, you just, it's not worth stuffing around with sort of rip off people, scammers basically. And of course, like usual, they just ghost you and won't talk to you, which is pretty normal for those sort of people. So unfortunately, this one's not going to be going in my collection, I don't think, unless it does pop up again, and it does only go for like 20 plus postage. I mean, who knows, someone might be willing to pay the $50 or something. I mean, it would have worked out about the same if, you know, if I could have bought it for 20 odd, and they, this way they're going to basically lose their postage here and they're going to lose another postage back, so it would have worked out better for them probably. And if worse kind of worse, I could just keep it as a display piece. But unfortunately, that, like I said, they weren't very talkative, as usually the case with these sort of people. They just hope you'll disappear and won't do anything. But this one's got to go back in the next couple of days, so I better get it all back together and get down the post office and get rid of the thing. So not the best outcome really, but it was interesting to have a look at one of these, and it shows that the 70 does exist. And yeah, I also know that there is the other 50 version, which, you know, they're nothing special really, but it'd kind of be nice to get the set of them just for the hell of it. Was there another screw there? There probably was. I've got a few in the bag here, so I better give them all their bits back. And I shouldn't have really played with it at all, but I thought I'd see if it was, you know, if it was an easy fix, I probably would have just took the loss, or maybe been able to negotiate a better price out of them, since they were scammers, and just basically lied about it being working. And no mention of that battery springs and stuff all being rotted out. But unfortunately, the problem with eBay is scammers know that you can't look at the thing before you buy it. Most people are good, but it seems to be getting a little worse lately. I've had a few things like that you buy them and they're not as described. Almost everything on eBay to a degree, unless it's brand new, is not as described, is what it feels like at times. And that's why, because people are just scammers. Everyone says, oh, it's in good condition, and then it's a piece of junk basically, or got damage. You know, I mean, maybe these people consider that sort of junk good condition. Maybe they're just, you know, got no expectations of anything and just are happy with crap. But most of us want something that actually is, you know, in reasonable condition. I mean, this is actually in quite nice physical condition, but it's basically useless. And yeah, what are you going to do with that battery compartment? You can clean the stuff off here, but the serial label and stuff's never going to come right. And that's destroyed, that's destroyed, that one's destroyed, the other one's gone all green here. The other 3 down there are all completely rusted, no silver on them at all anymore. And I'd say that socket's probably not the best either. And there was a little bit of rust on the tape deck, I think, from memory as well. So yeah, not particularly good. But I think I've got most of the inside back together. I've got to remember, I'll have to go back and look on the video, I think, where that piece went. Look on the video, find where that went, because I might as well better put that back where it belongs. And then yeah, I'll pack it back up and send it off. But anyway, it was an interesting one to look at. Don't know who made this mechanism. Don't think it's a Tennishin though. Too many odd, like, yeah, these flathead screws on the heads and stuff. Just doesn't look like their stuff. The pinch rollers don't look like theirs. Doesn't mean it wasn't one of theirs, but just doesn't really fit with the same, even the stamping out of the mech. But worth a look at anyway, so thanks for watching.